Hello guys, in this video let us discuss about IP address and CIDR notation, that is CIDR notation. So guys, if you know these concepts, simply skip this video and please proceed to the next video. Now guys, having clear understanding of how IP addresses work and what is this CIDR notation, it is really important when we work with VNET and Subnet. So it's because when we create VNet and Subnet, we provide the IP address range as well, that is IP address range which we want to configure to that VNet. So for example, let's say if you want to use 256 IP addresses within VNet, then we specify this using CIDR notation only. Okay, and now let's first try to understand IP address. And now guys, let's try to understand it with an example. So let's say this is a sample IP address. So I will say 100.8.0.22. So first if you see, it has 4 parts, that is this is part 1, this is part 2, this is part 3 and this is part 4. So the first and most important thing, each of this part, it can be 0 to 255. So again, this can be 0 to 255, this it can be 0 to 255 and this as well. So for example, this cannot be an IP address. So let's say 600.8.0.22. So it cannot be IP address because this 600, it is greater than this 255. Now guys, again, this IP address, it has 4 parts and each of these part, it is 1 byte. So this is 1 byte, this is also 1 byte, this is also 1 byte and this is also 1 byte. And this 1 byte, it is nothing but 8 bits. Okay, so again, this contains 8 bits, this also contains 8 bits, and this also contains 8 bits. And now let's try to decode this IP address, that is 100.8.0.22 in bits. And for that you can just open browser and you can type IP address to byte. Just let's go down and let's open this IP address converter. And our IP address was 100.8.0.22. And I will say calculate. So if you see, this is the representation of this IP address. Okay, and I will simply write it in my pen tab. So guys, if you see, I have converted this IP address in bits. So this 100, it stands for these 8 bits, this 8, it stands for this 8 bits, this 0, it stands for this 8 bits, and again this 22, it stands for these 8 bits. Now let's try to understand how this conversion happens. So first of all, for 0, again no guesses, all 0 means 0. Okay, now let's try to understand how this 22, how we can convert these 8 bits in this 22. Okay, so first of all, let's decide the positions of these 8 bits. So this is my 0th position, so this, it is my first position. Now this is my second position, this is my third position, this is fourth position, this is fifth position, this 0 is sixth position, and this 0 is seventh position, right? So again, this 0, it means 0, this 0 is again 0, again these 3 zeros, 1 2 3. So what we have is 1 over here, 1 over here, and 1 over here. So you see this 1, so and its position is 1, so that means it is 2 raised to 1. Now you see this 1, so its position is 2, that means it is 2 raised to 2. And you see this one, its position is 4, that means it is 2 raised to 4. So it comes 2 raised to 2 means 2, plus this 2 raised to 2, it means 4, plus now this 2 raised to 4, it means 16, and it comes 22. So that means these 8 digits, they represent 22, and you see this is 22 only. Similarly, let's try to convert these 8 bits in this IP address, that is this 8, right? So again you see this is 0 position, this is 0 position, this is 0. So again 3 zeros and again 4 zeros here. But we have this one at 0, 1, 2, 3 third position, right? So again you see this is 0 position, this is first position, this is second position. So we have this one at third position, that means it's 2 raised to 3, and again 2 raised to 3 it comes as 8. So similarly, if you try to decode these 8 bits, it will be converted to 100. Okay, so that is IP address, guys. And again each of these number, that is this, it can be from 0 to 255 only. Okay, and now let's try to understand what is this CIDR notation or CIDR. Or rather I will open a new window. And now guys, we are trying to understand what is this CIDR. So again it is a notation using which we can provide the VNET or subnet IP address range. Okay, so I will say VNET, subnet, IP address range. So basically when we create a VNET or subnet, we provide that how many IP addresses which we require. So for example, we may say that okay, we want to create a VNET and for that we want to use 65k IP addresses. And guys, subnet, it is a part of VNET, or you can say a subnet, it is a child of VNET. So you can say that a subnet within this VNET, for this subnet I require 256 IP addresses. So basically these 256 IP addresses, they will be part of this 65 IP addresses only. That means from this 65k IP address only we are using this 256 IP addresses. Okay, but then the question is how we can tell Azure that okay, for this VNET we want to use 65k IP addresses and for this subnet we want to use 256 IP addresses, and for that we have this CIDR notation. So again guys, if you see here we have this IP address, that is 100.8.0.0, and again if we convert it into bits, it is something like this. Okay, now if I want to use 65k IP addresses which are starting with this, that is 100.8. okay, so what I will say is, for this VNET I want to use 100.8.0.0/16, so it becomes 65k. So don't worry guys, I will explain you how this calculation happens. And if I want to use 256 IP addresses, here I will say 100.8.0.0 and slash I will say 24, so it becomes 256 IP addresses. So 65k means guys 65,000. okay, now first of all see this slash. okay, so this is slash, and this number, it actually represents the number of IP addresses or IP address range which are going to use. So first and most important rule, larger this number, lower is the range. So you see this 24 is larger, so we have just 256 IP addresses, but this 16 you can see it is smaller and we have more addresses. So for example, if here I say /8, that means I will even have a greater number of IP addresses, that is greater IP address range. Okay, now but then how exactly this 16 comes to 65 and this 24 comes to 256? So for that, this 24 or this 16, it means that starting from this IP address bits, ignore those many number of bits. So for example, if it say 24, okay, so again this 100.8.0, so this is the bit representation for this IP address, so we need to ignore the first 24 bits. So this first 24 bits, it will be ignored, that means they will be constant, and the only variable will be this one. So basically what it means is, these 24 bits, again these are 100.8.0, so this first 24 bits, that means this first three numbers from this IP address, that is 100.80, they will be constant, but only after this the number will change. So it will be something 0.0, then it will 0.1, 0.2, and you can imagine it can be up to 256. So sorry, up to 255. That means 0 to 255 we have total 256 IP addresses. Similarly, if you try to understand this example, that is 100.8.0, sorry, so 100.8, only this number will be constant in that IP address range, but after this it can be 0.0, it can be 0.1, 0.2, so up to let's say 0.255. so first we have this 256 IP addresses, then 100 point, again you see 100.8 is constant, it will be 1.0, it will be 1.1, 1.2, and like that we can have 1 to 1.255, so again 255 addresses. So again this number it will start from 2, 3, so like that we can have total 65k IP addresses. So basically this type of information we provide when we create a VNET or subnet, and it tells Azure how many IP addresses or what IP address range we will need. Okay, so that's it guys about CIDR, that is CIDR notation, and in our next video we will see a few examples of CIDR notation, and we'll try to understand that each of these example how many IP addresses it provides. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for listening.